Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, this is something that I don't even know if I'm ready for. You guys probably are. You guys have been requesting this video for probably the longest time. This is like my most requested video at the moment, and people have just been asking me on a simple update on my relationship life, and it just got really confusing after the end of December last year, and everything happened, and some things were like shared on social media, and then like some didn't like make sense and didn't line up because not everything was posted, so like parts skipped. And I tried going on Instagram and like making a bunch of stories. There were multiple Insta stories and Snapchats that I made to try and like situate everything and explain, but it just, people are still confused, I feel like. And also, not everybody that watches my YouTube have me on my social media, so I just wanted to finally take it to my channel to clear up. I have waited for quite a while. Thank you guys so much for giving me all the time that I needed to finally explain everything that happened with my love life. This is gonna be a drive with me video. I have my seatbelt on right here. So if my camera like shakes a little bit like that throughout the video, I'm very sorry. Ever since I got my new car, the tripod that I used to use with my old car like shakes now for some reason. Probably just because the dashboard is set up different than my old car. I feel like this video would be the most interesting in a drive with me style video. Also, the lighting might be changing around throughout this video, but I'm gonna start with the basic of the basic from the very beginning. So some of you guys may know my very first boyfriend that I had in 2016. I dated him for almost a year, and we broke up just from like reasons that I made a whole Storytime video about. If you guys followed my channel back then, you might know who that is. I'm not even gonna bother mentioning his name or going into detail about that relationship because it wasn't really public, and you guys, most of you guys probably won't even know about it anyways. But yeah, that was my very first relationship. And then, so after that relationship ended, I started to become closer to my best friend, which is Darion, the main boy of this whole entire story, and basically my love life as well. He is the one that I did the prank on. That is like one of my most popular videos. It's the I got beat up prank. I'll leave it down below if you guys are interested. But it was basically a video where I did a prank on my best friend at the time, which is Darion, that turned into my boyfriend. And he was my best friend at the time, and I basically put like fake bruises on my face and acted like I got beat up. And he was just like super sweet and super protective as well. So many comments were saying like, oh my god, you should marry him, like he's so sweet, like he seems so protective, like you guys should like start something. And you guys just really seem to have support on like that relationship. So I did start hanging out with him a lot more. Obviously, since I had a boyfriend, I didn't really hang out with him. Once that relationship ended, I started hanging out with him and actually talking to him, and that was like around the end of October-ish. The first time we've ever hung out like outside of school was actually a Halloween night, and we just stayed inside and we watched movies, which was really fun. And that happened for about a good 3 months before we actually started dating. In December, our date was 12/18/17, the end of the year 2017 that we actually started dating. And before we even started dating, my parents like didn't really like the idea of it because I guess they knew we were best friends, so they knew if something were to happen between us, it would ruin not just a relationship but a friendship. And that's what ended up happening, which was really sad, but I'll get to that later. So as we like started hanging out, and as he would like come over more, my parents would see like how sweet he actually was, and he would just like do little things that mattered so much. Like he would just randomly bring me over flowers, just like show up with my favorite candy, which I know those are all like materialistic things, but it just showed that he was really sweet and just protective over me. So then we began to date. We made sure to wait a good 3 months before dating or anything. I was very public about that relationship. I have multiple videos with him on my channel. I posted him all the time on my Instagram, on my Snapchat, and I'm not even gonna lie or sugarcoat things. Our relationship was really good. There were very little points where I wasn't happy. There was very little points where just like things were bad, and things started to like get a little rough towards the end of our relationship, which was around the time of December. We dated for almost a whole year. We actually broke up a week or two before it was supposed to be our 1 year. The reason why we broke up was because there were multiple things wrong in the relationship. We spent way too much time together, which can be good at first, but not that things will start to get old, but it was just getting way too routine, and we would see each other every single day, and that's just simply not healthy for anybody. And I mean, we didn't have jobs, we didn't have our license, so we couldn't really go anywhere to do anything. We broke up over an argument that started at IKEA. We went shopping on a family trip to IKEA, which is about like an hour away from where I live, and I got jealous of something that I saw on his phone. Snapchat, social media is just not good. And I know that, but I continue to use it for some reason. I'm gonna order a water real quick because I'm really thirsty. I'll get back to the story after that. Hi, can I just have a large cup of iced water, please?
Large cup of iced water?
Yeah. So getting back to this story, that's the argument that got way out of hand. And I mean, it was on my part that I got jealous over something. So I was very jealous in the relationship, which also isn't good. One thing kind of led to another, and we were arguing that whole entire night, like terribly going back and forth on the phone, and it just got way out of hand, long story short. So, you know, it went from best friends, we known each other ever since elementary school, we always talk, we always used to FaceTime, and we were just always so close. So we went from that to being boyfriend and girlfriend, dating, and then it kind of just went all down the drain and we became enemies. And that's, I think, was one of the hardest things for me, because I didn't only lose my boyfriend, I lost my best friend, and I don't have many friends to begin with. I only have one girlfriend. You guys probably know her, Maddie. She's in some of my videos, and I always post her on Instagram and Snapchat and stuff. I'm just not a very social person at all. Broke up, and we actually blocked each other on basically everything. I deleted his number, I blocked him off of Instagram and Snapchat, and we just didn't have any contact after December. So January, February, and all those months start coming around, and I tried making new friends. Like I mentioned, I only did ever have one girlfriend, so they were guys that I tried talking to, but it was just as friends, and none of them I really had a feeling with, or just nothing clicked. And I actually did end up dating somebody else because I was trying to move on and like find love in somebody else, and it just didn't work. Nothing felt like Darion, which I posted a couple times on my Instagram, but I didn't really tag him in anything because I learned from making my previous relationship very public that if something does go wrong, like everybody's gonna have their opinion and like have something to say about it. So I kind of learned from that, and I wanted to keep that relationship a little bit on the private side, which I did. I'm actually glad I did, because that relationship didn't last very long at all. So that relationship ended in the beginning of June, and I'm not gonna go into detail about that relationship at all. Thank you.
You have a great day.
You too, thank you. Okay, so that was that relationship. So I'm actually gonna park because I don't want this lighting to like keep looking all weird. So keep in mind, throughout like all the months that I kind of took a break from everybody, like January, February, March, and like that time, me and Darion didn't really have contact at all. Like I mentioned, we were blocked on everything, but there were like a couple times here and there where he would like add me, but I would like never kind of accept his request. But in the middle of July, I posted on my Instagram story about me wanting to get my wisdom teeth out, and I actually have the exact post that I'm gonna pull up. So I posted on July 16th this like boomerang of a countdown to when I was supposed to get my wisdom teeth out. I posted that at night, and I actually remember so specifically, after I posted that, I was hanging out with Maddie, and we had went to the dollar store, and I parked my car while she ran in and got something, and I was just on my phone, and I get this notification from Darion's account that says a message. He wasn't blocked at this point, but since I wasn't following him, like it's went to like a request, so I couldn't actually read it until I accepted it. But the notification just came up, Darion sent you a message. So I kind of started like freaking out, and I didn't really know what to think. I was happy, but at the same time like nervous, because like I didn't even know what terms we were on at that point. Like we weren't really on any terms, so like he could have really said anything. Like he could have been like wishing me good luck, he could have been like making an argument with me, like he could have just said anything. And I actually wait a good 2 minutes before I open the message because I wanted to wait for Maddie to get out of the dollar store. And she gets in the car and I said, Maddie? She goes, what? And I go, guess who texted me? And she goes, Darion. And I said, yeah. And I guess she knew because we're logged into each other's like Instagram accounts. So she got the notification as well. But yeah, we have like talked about him before. Like when we didn't have any contact, I would just like randomly say to her like, what do you think it would be like if like me and him would like talk again? Or like what do you think would happen if like he reached out to me or something? I said at one point, I remember a specific time we were in the McDonald's drive-thru and she said, what would you do if he texted you? And I said, I would text back, but I would never start the conversation. So if he would have never like reached out to me and slid up on my story, we wouldn't be talking because I was so forbidden to talk to him just because of everything that went down like during the time of the breakup. Like so many things happened and I'm not even going to go into specific detail. So when he texted me, I was kind of really nervous to respond because I just knew it would lead to us talking and we're not allowed to talk. Another part of me like had to respond because like I've basically been waiting for the text. Okay, let's be real. I'm gonna go in the exact DMs of what he slid up on that wisdom teeth story. Right here, I'll put in the picture where he slid up on my story, and it was at 9 at night, so that was when I was like in the dollar store parking lot and everything. And he slid up and said, that's gonna hurt. And I was like freaking out, like I mentioned, and all I said back was, I know, I'm nervous AF. And then he said, you're gonna be on anesthesia. And I was just like keeping this like very, very simple, like short talk, so like if my parents did see it, like they wouldn't think that I was like talking to him like that. And he asked me how I was and I said, I've been good, how about you? And he said, I've been hitting the gym so much, and that's it. That was at 9:19 that he sent that text, and then I started driving at that point, so I didn't really respond to that because like I said, I was trying to like keep very, very simple conversations with him. I started driving Maddie home and I actually dropped her off and I went in her house and I was just like sitting texting him because I knew that I couldn't go home and text him like if I would have left my phone somewhere and his notification came up, or like I just like wanted to be extra safe. So I just ended up staying at Maddie's for like maybe 10 minutes just to like text him before I went home. And he said, what happened to the old car? And I could tell at this point that he was just like trying to like bring like random things up just to like hold the conversation. And I said, I know I missed it, I just upgraded in general. And after that car conversation ended, he brought up about him being at my favorite place, and I said, where? And he said, Chick-fil-A. Thought that that was the end of the conversation. I didn't really know it was going to lead into anything more, so I was actually on my way home. I wasn't too far from Maddie's. We lived like 10 minutes away, so I was probably like 2 minutes away from Maddie's house at this point, where he texted me again. I'm not going to go through every exact conversation that we had because we were literally talking about the most random stuff. And keep in mind, I was on my way home, and I actually pulled over to park because since I was still talking to him, I didn't want to go home yet, but I wasn't going to go all the way back to Maddie's just to like text him when I could have just pulled over. I don't have any text receipts from iMessage because I got a new phone, so everything like restored and deleted. But I remember my mom asking me, like literally, I'm not even joking, the second I pulled in the parking lot to like pull over and text him, where you at? And that's pretty normal. Like she usually asks me where I'm at. She has my location, so I wasn't gonna lie about it. I wasn't doing anything bad. I was literally just sitting in a parking lot. So I told her where I was and she said, okay, be home before blah blah blah. I could tell at this point that it was starting not to get like talky, but it wasn't just like small talk anymore. It kind of like turned into something more. So I texted my mom if I could sleep over Maddie's, which I mean isn't too unusual. Like I sleep over Maddie's sometimes, but like it was just really random for me to say like I'm gonna be home soon and then like ask to sleep over Maddie's, if you know what I'm saying. So I actually ended up asking my dad first and he said no, and then I begged my mom and she said yes. So I ended up going back to Maddie's. I'm not even joking, you guys. I had my whole entire playlist on shuffle, and usually I go in my all rap playlist and shuffle from there, so it's only rap. But I didn't really have time, so I just like played shuffle for my whole entire playlist. And I was driving, normal music was playing, and then I'm not even joking, the next song that came on was Perfect, which was our song. And that could not have been more perfect, and like just so much of like a sign. I was like, oh my god, like no way. Just so many memories came back that I actually started crying in my car while I was on my way to Maddie's. And I got to this one red light and I called Maddie and I said, I'm coming back, like I'm in tears right now, like me and Darion are texting, our song came on and I'm just like so upset right now and I can't go home, so I'm sleeping over. And she goes, okay, I'll leave the door unlocked. She is such a good friend and she's always had my back and I'm so thankful for her. So I get to Maddie's, I go inside, I get situated and everything, and we're laying on her bed, not getting ready for bed, but kind of just like messing around on our phones, like watching videos, you know, like doing whatever. And I'm obviously still texting him, and me and Maddie actually decided to no caller ID him just to like see what he would say, if he would answer. And honestly, I wanted to do that to hear his voice, and I know that sounds really like weird and like stupid, but I haven't talked to him or seen him. I knew I couldn't call him from my regular phone because like if my parents somehow like saw that, I just couldn't. So I ended up no caller IDing him through Maddie's phone, and I actually recorded some of it. I didn't record in the very beginning. We didn't say anything at first because keep in mind we're still not allowed to talk, so I was keeping it on the very low. He goes, hello, and we're on mute. We didn't say anything, and then he goes, hello. We didn't say nothing, and he hangs up because he doesn't know it's us. And he texts me and goes, a no caller ID just called me. And I said, that's weird, LOL. We ended up calling him again to see if he would answer, and he goes, hello. We're trying to like go into size voices. Me and Maddie are like trying to like put our voice like deeper and like sound like really weird. And he goes, stop calling me, bruh. And he hangs up. And he goes, they called me again. And I said, can't you block him? And he said, no, which I knew he couldn't block because it was an unknown number. This is a really long story, but I'm explaining the story of how we started talking again. So yeah. And then all of a sudden, it's really late at this point. It's 12:30 and he texts me, I ain't gonna lie, I miss you. And my heart dropped and I said, Maddie. She goes, what? I said, Darion said he misses me. She goes, yeah, we could have guessed that one. And I was like, I was freaking out. And Darion calls her phone and I quickly like grab it and I answer. And I have this note that I wrote on his door in Sharpie when we dated. Like this really long paragraph. It's in like a closet that he doesn't use, so like it's not like showing or anything, it's on the inside. And I said, do you still have that note on your door that I wrote you? And he goes, yeah, but I'm not in that room anymore. It's not just like this random notes chilling in somebody's bedroom, you know, like nobody uses that room. I asked him to go read it and he was downstairs in his room, so he goes upstairs and he starts reading it. After he read that, we basically like talked for maybe like 5 more minutes and then we hung up the call. And he then texts me and he said, when I read that message on my door, I was about to tear up. I don't care if you screenshot this or put it on your story or anything. You were so great to me and you were just an amazing person. So the reason why he said about like, I don't care if you show anybody is because since we weren't allowed to be talking, he thought that I was like gonna like screenshot and post it like, he like look everybody like he still misses me. Because that's why I didn't want to say I missed him, because like I feel like he could have screenshotted it and sent it to somebody. And I said, I cried. Yeah, I mean, it's not any secret that you used to be the closest person in my life. It's just like really upsetting. I thought that I was never going to be able to ever talk to him again. We were talking until like 3 a.m. and he was sending me like old pictures and we were just like going back and forth and stuff. And at this point, I didn't really care what I said over DM because like if he was going to screenshot it and post it, I had stuff that he said too. And we went to bed because I was like really tired. So the next morning when I woke up, it was July 17th, a couple days before my birthday, and he brings up about like what I wanted for my birthday, and I said I want to see you. And we planned like an arranged meetup. If my camera's in a different position, it's because it died and I had to change the battery and like take it off the tripod for that. But yeah, so I left Maddie's, I got like all ready. So when we got to the park and my dad calls me, and not only calls, he FaceTimes, which he never does that, okay? Like, and he goes, what are you doing? And I said, I'm taking pictures. And he goes, by yourself in the 90-degree weather at a park. And I said, yeah. I thought nothing of it. I thought it was a perfect plan. He was like, okay, bye. So like, he didn't even call for anything. So that was like weird in itself, but yeah, whatever. So I ended up spending the day at a park with him, and we were just sitting on the benches, like talking, literally catching up on everything. We were at that park for a good 2 hours, and then we decided to leave and we drove around. We go to this different park and we're just like sitting on the swings and like chilling out, you know. Darion says, "Your dad is over there." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And I thought he was joking because I thought that he would have been like more like scared if like my dad actually was there. So I was like, "Huh, you're joking." So as a joke, as we're getting in the car, I start pulling off all slow, not even joking, at like 2 miles per hour. And I hear on my trunk, and I looked in my mirror and I saw my father standing right there. And I said, "Oh my God, like, what the?" He obviously was not happy. Like, I've never seen his face so beet red in my life. I rolled down my window because I wasn't about to drive away and like run away. Like, I have to go home tonight. He knows regardless. Like, I'm not gonna run away and make the situation worse. I can't even explain the anger that was in his eyes. Like, I was scared to go home. Like, I was scared to go home. Points at me, he puts his finger on my chin, he says, "Get your home." And he like kind of like goes like that. And then I said, okay, because I wasn't about to be like, no, and be like rebellious, because like I wasn't even about to do that. Like, I wasn't. So I end up taking him home, and then I get home and he is waiting out front on the porch step with his arms crossed, and he's just staring at my car as I parallel park. I didn't even want to get out of my car, just because like for so many months my dad like drilled into my head not to talk to him, not to talk to him. If he ever reaches out to you, tell me, like, and you need to block him, like block every contact from him. And he sees us hanging out together. He's yelling at me and he says, "You're grounded." And I said, okay. Like, I'm not like really a trouble child. Like, if you tell me like that I'm in trouble, like I'm not gonna be like, "I don't care," like, and I was giving him very short answers because I was kind of like mad at him at this point, which I don't know why, because I totally understand that he was just like trying to protect me and stuff and like look out for me. So like I appreciated that, but at the same time, like, I know what's best for me, and like if I felt that I would have been in danger by hanging out with him, I definitely wouldn't have. I understood why he was yelling at me, because he didn't want us to hang out, but like then again, like, it's not like he's like a murderer or anything, you know? I kind of like was fed up at this point, and like I mentioned, I'm not really a trouble child, so for me to give attitude back is, number one, very surprising, and number two, it better be over something that I want to fight for. "Give me your keys, give me your phone," like blah 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 blah. And I said, "Here's my keys. I don't regret one thing I did today." And I like walked past him, and he like kind of like like, you know, like sighs. I go up to my room, and he comes up and he follows behind me and he says, "We're not done talking. Like, get downstairs. Like, we're not done." I literally had everything taken away. I had no phone, no car keys, I had no laptop, I didn't have my PlayStation, TV, iPad, nothing. I had nothing. He took everything away, and I was just like sitting there still getting yelled at on the couch. And my mom comes home and walks in the door, and I'm sitting there like crying at this point, because I just knew what I wanted would never happen, or that's what I thought at that time. And my dad goes, "Go ahead, why don't you tell her? Tell your mom what you did." And I said, "I wanted to see Darion." She told me that she wasn't surprised, because she kind of knew something was going on, because she has Instagram, so she was like on, you know how like you could see active times with like when people are on. Well, she saw like how I was active until 3 a.m. and how he was active till 3 a.m. as well. And then I guess like when I stopped being active, like he did too, and like she kind of like assumed we were talking. And that was like just very smart and like some detective type stuff. So like, and she told me that she was actually gonna ask me that night, like, "How are you and Darion doing?" And I swear on everything, I literally would have like told her. Like, I was gonna go to my mom, I wouldn't have went to my dad about it, but I would have went to my mom about it and been like, "So like Darion like texted me on Instagram," and like told her the story and everything that night, if I wouldn't have got caught. But my dad found out before my mom. So I feel like my dad is definitely more against this situation than my mom. Not that my mom was like congratulating me in it, because she definitely wasn't, but my dad was just way more strict in this situation than my mom was. She was just so close to him, just because how much we would hang out. He was always over the house, and like I mentioned, since we didn't have cars, whenever like we needed to go somewhere, she would always drive us, and she was like kind of just like very involved in our relationships. I understand why she was so close to him, and she just always thought of him as a son, and he was definitely the closest to my family out of any like friend or boyfriend that I've had. Just so that just goes to show, like, she did like really care for our relationship. She just loved how he treated me, and especially like being in like a different relationship, seeing how that person treats me. Even though other relationships didn't treat me bad, they just didn't treat me like Darion always did. So I was grounded, I couldn't see him, I couldn't go anywhere because I didn't have a car for, I would say, a couple of weeks. And after that, my family had numerous talks. I definitely think this time can be so much better, because it is hard to find somebody that you click with. And that first day that I hung out with him after not seeing him for a whole year, there was no awkwardness, there was no questioning. I missed him so much, and I needed him in my life, regardless if it's as a friend, regardless if it's as a boyfriend. I just can't picture him not being in my life, just because he's somebody that is so close to me. I don't have many people that I like to open up to, and he was one of them, and I just had an instant reconnection with him, and that's just really hard to find, especially for someone like me who's not social. Now we both can drive and like got jobs and stuff like that, and we both have like things to occupy our time, so even if we wanted to spend like every second together like we used to, we couldn't. I think that's what's best and what we needed in our relationship. And I also find myself not being as jealous, because since I've seen like that he still liked me after all those months of us not being able to talk, like he didn't date anybody else or anything like that, so it just like really showed me that he does only want me. Now that we know like what our weaknesses were in our previous relationship, we know what to do to fix that and like how to go around that. I always have people think like that I hop from person to person, which I've only had 3 relationships in my life, and only 2 of them were serious, so I don't know why people say that. Probably gonna wait till the new year to start dating, because like that's a fresh new start, and I think that'll be what's really best for us. Before this video ends, I want to quickly address what I've been seeing, like some comments and like input from people on this whole situation. I know that I'm gonna have some people that support me and some people that do not, and some people that don't agree with my decisions and some people that do. That is totally okay, but this is what I chose to do. Thank you so much to anybody who supports me no matter what. I see this one comment that says, why would you go back to somebody who like you clearly didn't work out with? And what I say to that is, I can totally understand where you're coming from, but there are different reasons why people break up. Some break up because they cheat, some really just don't have compatibility. For us, we just had a couple of problems here and there, which I feel like time definitely did fix, but none of us cheated or like anything bad like that. So I also want to mention that my parents are high school sweethearts. And they dated for a couple years in high school, and they did break up, and they ended up back together, and now they've been together for 23 years. So just because you guys break up, if it is true love, it'll find its way back, and if it's meant to be, it'll be. And I also want to give some like advice for anybody else who might be going through something similar. I have like people in my DMs all the time asking me for like relationship advice, and the best piece of advice I can give you is, if somebody breaks up with you, or like if you guys just split apart and you really truly think that you guys are meant to be, just let it be, play it out, and see where it goes. And if you guys truly are meant to be, it will be. And just like don't force anything. If you guys are clearly not working out, let things go, and don't put yourself in any unhealthy or bad situation, because that can never lead to anything good. I mean, I definitely learned my lesson from being in a year toxic relationship with my first relationship, not with Darion. I'll leave like every video linked down below, like with the titles. Yeah, I think that is it for this long story time clear up video. If you guys liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also comment down below if you are currently single or taken. I really hope that I cleared up things today and that everybody can like finally understand. If you ever see somebody like commenting on my Instagram or like commenting on my YouTube, like, is she taken, or like, is this her boyfriend? Please like clear things up if you know the whole story. Subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to turn on all of my post notifications so you get a notification in your Dropbox every time I upload a video. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, I love you all so much, and bye guys.